I can't do my B vitamins, and I totally forgot. And I took it when I got home, and then I'm just sitting there. I'm so tired that I go to bed. I'm just wired.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. We will get started in just a second here.
Set up.
Just getting set up. And then for the people who have joined already, thank you for joining us. Welcome back to the Glove Lab. Your go-to, apparently, for everything glove related. We appreciate it.
Everything. Where else would you go?
Yeah. So we're just going to give it a couple more minutes for people to join. We start at 10. And then we'll get started.
Today's Flannel Wednesday, if anybody was wondering.
Yes.
Because it's freezing in here, so we are branded.
This was
but it's
planned. No, I'm
it's
kidding.
cold in here.
It's really cold. I can't believe it's supposed to be 70 this weekend, though.
I know, it's going to be nice.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay. One more
It's like watching the
minute.
clock.
The countdown has
It's
begun.
like watching the toaster pop. It just never goes.
Yeah. I actually I haven't used my toaster in a long time.
At
And
the tea kettle.
That's the one.
If you try to watch it, it just never boils.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like one of those old sayings where you're like, it's not a saying though, because it's true.
Yeah. Well,
When I watched kettle never boils. It's still true.
yeah. I watched pot. Watched kettle.
Is it a pot?
Either way.
Watched water never boils.
Okay, well, we're at 10. So,
Alrighty.
we can get started.
Today's a good one.
Yep.
It's a bit heavy. Not heavy. It's real.
It's real.
Real world.
We're basically doing a live broadcast at the moment.
This is basically your best source of news. This is like the news channel for gloves.
Yep. So, welcome to the Glove Lab.
Get into it.
This is a more casual, interactive space than a news channel. So please interact with us in the chat. We will answer any questions you have.
Especially today. We're going through it together. All of us are in this one together.
There's a lot going on.
Could have a lot of feedback, a lot of people, what you're seeing.
Yeah. And then hit subscribe if you haven't already, just to stay up to date with what we're doing. We appreciate it.
Smash that like button.
Mm-hmm. Right.
God, the more I watch YouTube videos, they'll smash the like
I want to
button.
know what channels you're watching, because I haven't heard that still.
Oh, the Crypto Bros.
Oh, okay. All right.
Crypto Bros.
Yeah.
Smash it.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Well, if we're going to start, I'm Sarah and this is Ashley. We work for Eagle Protect. We are in California. And we work for a disposable glove and clothing supplier that started in New Zealand. What makes us a little bit different is that we have a proprietary glove testing program. So when our gloves come over here, we do lot test them. So every container that arrives from our 2.6 to our 5, we send them off to a lab and they test them for a series of different things to make sure that the durability is there. The cleanliness is there. They're not full of holes. They're not full of toxic chemicals, a whole bunch of good things. If you're interested, our Delta Zero program is pretty cool. We're the only company that does that, and we are working to get it patented. So that is our thing that we're really proud of. Makes us a little bit different, but we're also hoping it makes us trustable, I guess, because we want to be transparent and upfront with our product.
Yes. And I guess before we get into it, to the people who are here, a bit of a question that is timely is, have you noticed any price changes or supply issues in or with your PPE in the last few months? So just let us know what you're experiencing. We want to know just so that we can stay up to date.
Not as fun as your other questions.
What were my other questions?
Any of them.
Oh,
this one's serious.
Oh, my other questions. Yes.
Yeah.
No, this one is
the real one though. We've heard a lot of chitter chatter. I do think people are seeing price increases and at least talk of what's going on.
It's a bummer for sure, but we're all in it. So at least there's that. And hopefully we can help each other out along the way.
Yeah.
So we'd love to know what you're experiencing. Let us know. Okay. So that is, what we're talking about today. If you hadn't gathered, we're talking about current events, how they're affecting you, specifically in the glove industry. Right.
So
yeah, I think that's
all of this kind of stems from, I don't think it's any surprise. There is let's call it significant geopolitical instability, I
Mhm.
believe was the word that I came up with that describes, I feel like, the safe way to describe what's going on in the world right now.
Yep.
And it's putting really a lot of pressure globally on a lot of different things,
Yeah.
supply chains specifically. And so today we're going to talk about how that's affecting the glove market, the PPE market, because everything that is going on in the Middle East is affecting things.
Yeah.
And we're talking about raw material supply disruption. There's rising costs, freight increases, manufacturing pressures. Oh, wow. My S's don't work
It's gonna
today.
be a good day.
The S's do not work today. It was an early morning, but the works. So there's what's going on in the world is really affecting products, businesses, and people's lives.
Yes.
So let's dive into that a little bit.
And I think it's important to note also that Business Today covered this recently. So it's not, we're not just pulling
We're
this
not,
out of
and the last thing we want to do is fearmonger, nothing like that. So we just want to be upfront what we're hearing, what we're seeing from our factories, from the world, from customers, that kind of a thing. But yes, it was in Business Today, so it's been covered. It's a thing, but it might not be something. There's also a lot of moving parts right now to keep track of.
Mhm.
So this is like just a little update on the glove part.
Yes, exactly. So instability is definitely something that is impacting everyone in every industry. But when it comes to the glove world, let's break it down. So where does it start?
Okay, so I think if we have to gloves. So since February, the cost of nitrobutadiene rubber, so let's just call it NBR if we're going to call it something. So that's the key ingredient that is in nitrile gloves. And the cost of that has been climbing since February. And the driver on this is there's a shortage of the butadiene feedstock. So what they need to make this raw material, there is a shortage. So even beyond, let's say, well, getting into it, even beyond the Strait of Hormuz. I feel like when we watch the news where everybody's hearing about the Strait of Hormuz and everything about the Strait of Hormuz, and that's what's affecting everything. And that is, but that's when you layer it on top of already that the NBR having lower supply. So it's kind of I hate to say double whammy. It sounds like some fun game or something like that. So it is a little bit, it is building on that. And then there is the hostilities blocking the key trade routes, especially that is the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of ships go through there, and there's a lot of products, supplies, materials, everything like that goes through there. And that tightens the supply further. It pushes up the cost of those raw materials, and even for glove manufacturers. So it's kind of like there's a little bit, I feel like there's not a lot of moving parts, but maybe a few moving parts, but because they're all moving at the same time, they're kind of making it a little bit worse.
Yeah. And I hate
it's like, I don't want to say that's like a bad way to say it, but they're kind of compounding.
Yes. It's the trickle down, if you will.
Yes, very much so.
That term always makes me mad whenever I hear it.
So there is everything with the Strait of Hormuz that we all hear about in the news every single day because that's where the fighting is. So you hear about it. But then there's also like the NBR supply on top of that. And then trying to get it through the strait is a little bit harder. So it's just a lot compounding.
Yeah. Yes. And it does seem like something that unfortunately is going to take a little while to correct itself and rebalance once everything settles down, which I think we all hope that that's soon. But I mean, there are a few layers to this that need to be resolved and have to work themselves out for things to kind of, quote, go back to normal, if you will. And it's not just nitrile gloves being affected, right? So it's more than that.
Oh, exactly. So not just nitrile gloves. I mean, across the world, I think we can see it everywhere, even the gas pump everywhere. Like everything is being affected. But when we stick to the glove world, there could be some parts that maybe you didn't see coming because the nitrile is going up naturally because of what we had just said. So the natural response for buyers would be maybe to switch away from nitrile. I'm going to find another glove that's going to do the exact same thing. So I could maybe shift towards a latex glove and just
buy
Thank you. Buy something different. But if I'm switching to latex gloves, if you think about that across the board, if we're switching to those latex gloves, that puts a lot of demand on latex gloves, which is going to cause the cost of latex gloves also to increase. And the material for latex gloves have seen increases also on top of that, but then there is kind of that supply shift because of the challenges with nitrile if people are going to latex. so it's like, that's also the compounding effect then on the latex side. So
Yeah.
we know it's affecting the nitrile side. People are switching demand to latex a little bit, and the latex also is increasing, so that it's kind of raising both gloves. So it's not just an easy switch. It's not an easy swap, like, oh, this is here, so I'm going to go here. It's making it a little bit more complex than that, because it's kind of affecting gloves across the board.
Yeah. And it's just so interesting. I mean, this is literally what we learn in, you learn in school. It's like supply and demand.
Who
like,
knew that
how does that
economics
affect-
teacher,
you're
like,
wow.
God, they knew what they were talking
They
about.
actually had something important to say. So yeah, it's interesting from that standpoint to see this happening. It sucks from a consumer and a buyer standpoint when you see this happening.
It is a challenge, especially when it happens to probably, honestly, all the products that you're buying. So it's
Exactly.
not just like, oh, here's my problem product right now. It's probably kind of
It's
across the
happening
board
with
that
everything.
that they're seeing. So I do feel for companies and buyers that are managing that at the moment.
Yeah. So that essentially covers, I guess, disposable gloves, but what about disposable clothing and other PPE?
That's a great question. So disposable clothing, especially the ones that we do, it's the LDPE. So that polyethylene, it is a petroleum-based product. And because of that, with everything that is going on in the Middle East, we're seeing price increases and challenges there too, just because of the supply. And a lot of that is because if the strait is restricted, I don't think it's closed at the moment. It's always changing, but I think it's restricted at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's still a slower supply going through than normal. So we are seeing challenges on the raw material side also with the disposable gloves. And I mean, disposable clothing. So then, but then on top of that, if you're going petroleum-based products, is also like the transport. There's going to be packaging, the shipping, things like that. So there's also like a lot of different components equal the price of a product.
Right.
So I know we've kind of mentioned the supply of things and the raw materials, but there's other things that also are compounding and adding up in there. That is the challenge of it is kind of going into the whole cost of the product, which is causing them to rise.
Right. So to sum up, everything essentially is going up. That's not to scare everyone, but what does that actually mean, though, like in practice for a food processing facility or distributor that needs to source these products?
Sure. So the short-term volatility, I mean, is the obvious one. We can expect adjustments, which is the nice way to say, right? There's going to be price increases. There's going to be cost increases. So we do know this is coming. To the extent of what it's coming and how long it lasts and things like that, there is a bit of an unknown where none of us know how long this is going to last. None of us know how bad it's going to get. We just know kind of a little bit of the trajectory of where we're going. We don't exactly know how long it's going to be there or how long we're going to stay there. So there are real potential for supply constraints, particularly with the nitrile gloves, but you'll also probably start seeing some allocation. I don't know if issues is the right word, but we have heard that some companies are kind of putting a restriction on how many gloves you can buy at the moment. Because if we know that supply is going to go down from a supplier standpoint, we have to manage keeping our customers in business with knowing how many products we're going to be getting in the door. So there probably are some allocation restraints, maybe is a better way to put that. I could see that coming across the board where buyers could expect to run into something like that, where it was like, what you have been buying, we will keep supplying you, but we're not going to let you
stress buy.
Yes. Or upfront buy, because it's like, I heard prices are going to increase, so I need 95 pallets of gloves or something like that, where you just buy it. So there has to be a little bit of control of inventory on that one.
Yeah.
I do foresee that coming probably quite soon. Across the board with most companies. The other opens up the possibility of quality risks or quality issues coming to the surface. There could be some more things, opportunities to cut corners, that kind of a thing, where when things are challenged, it's just one of those risks where we want people to be aware of it. Once again, we don't want to scare, we don't want to be fear mongering, anything like that, but it's just knowing that the possibility is out there because of the state of the market.
And it's so true that this just might not be the first thing that people think about when they hear about potential raw material shortages or stress on supply. They're like, oh, well, I'm just getting my product. It should be the same product. But history, unfortunately, has proven that when supply and financial kind of stress or pressures are put onto an industry, especially the glove industry, there is unfortunately an opportunity for suppliers to and manufacturers to cut corners. So that maybe you can talk a little bit more about that and some specifics on that one.
Sure. And that's where, and it's just going off of historically what has happened before. Not everybody does it, things like that, but just things to be aware because it has hit the news. So we do know that it's happening.
Yeah.
When you think about a glove, the raw materials of a glove take up about 70% of that glove's total cost.
Mhm.
So whatever I'm buying for that glove, what the raw materials cost in the glove is about 70%. And then that other 30% are the other things on top of it. If it's the shipping, the packaging, the labor. So there's other costs that go into it, but the raw materials are really the big chunk of what constitutes the cost of a glove. So if the raw materials are going up, then that means the whole cost of a glove is going up. And so that's where the kind of the challenge of this happens.
Yeah.
So when costs rise significantly, manufacturers have a choice. So they can, we feel like, take the more ethical route and they can absorb that cost, or they can pass it along with transparency to their customers so the customers know what's happening, why it's happening, and where the costs are coming from.
Mhm.
Or there's a little bit less ethical, where you can cut corners and you can perhaps do things to make your product a little bit lower quality or a little bit cheaper from the materials. I could use different materials. So if I use a different recipe, change the materials, I could maybe make that glove cheaper.
Right.
But then that would affect the quality, the performance, the protection down the line. And that's not always something that the customer buying the glove knows is happening. So that's where we feel like the transparency isn't there. Where if you're going to change the glove, then the consumer should know that. But right now there's no good way to know what you're buying. The box looks the same, so you don't know the glove inside changed.
Right.
So that's where it gives a little bit more opportunity of that. And maybe, I don't want to say incentive. Incentive is the wrong word, but there is when there's financial stresses, there is a challenge, and you have to, at the same time, I mean, you have to make your budget, you have to pay your bills, you have to do, so everybody's in the same boat. And it's like, how do you make it work? How do you make it work with the ends meet? But if you degrade the quality of your product, I feel like that's fine. That's a good fine if you have to make that choice, but then the people buying your product should know that.
Right. At least they should be aware of
that something has changed. So at least they know what they're buying, know what they're getting into, because that ultimately could affect their product.
And their safety too, especially when it comes to PPE. So that's like scary.
Oh, for sure. Well, if you think about it, let's say, okay, so I have a glove. The glove is too much money. So I put in some cheap materials and those materials don't stretch as well. So then now I'm selling a glove that doesn't stretch as well.
Yeah.
And then you get the glove. You think it's the glove you used last month, but now it doesn't stretch as well and it's ripping all the time. So now you need to put on 4 different gloves and the wrist is coming off. And then now you have to use more gloves. So even though you're buying the same glove you thought you were buying, it's not the same glove. So now you need to buy 25% more gloves to get a glove to work.
Yeah.
Or if a glove is ripping, now it's in my product. I can't find it. Now I have to withdraw,
and that's
$500,000 of product. And it's like, so the companies really pay the whatever. Yeah. They really pay the price. And that's where we feel like consistency is something that is like, we cannot stress enough that the value of it, especially in times like this, that the consistency of supply, consistency of manufacturing, the consistency of quality, it really matters. But then at the same time, I want to be totally honest, and I know price matters. I know budgets matter. I like my paycheck too.
Yeah.
Like I like having a job. I like getting paid. So I know there's a balance in there. And this is the time where I do feel for buyers that are currently in this situation. But then I think they should be able to make the best decisions they can with all of the information.
Yeah, they should just be aware of it.
Correct.
That's our philosophy. But
correct.
So we have a link to something that Sarah had mentioned when she was talking, and she was talking about the 70% of a total gloves cost is more in the raw materials. I think this is actually a pretty interesting read. So I'm putting the link in the chat.
Yeah, it does a good job of explaining kind of what the cost of a glove is. And then so when one part moves, something else has to give or move.
Yeah.
Because if the cost of my materials go up, but I'm not raising the cost of my glove, something else has to go down.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that is in the quality field.
Yeah, unfortunately. So we've already,
it's a good read.
Yeah,
good read.
It's a good time. If you're here at the Glove Lab, maybe you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. So. And I don't want to say that I don't want to be fear mongering. and like trying to scare people, but it's just knowing from the history of our
I mean, it's
industry
happened.
what's happened.
Yeah.
And it has happened. Earlier this year, I don't exactly remember where it was, but in Malaysia, I think it was like 50 tons of,
Yeah.
they call them scrap gloves. So
Yeah.
they're gloves that were produced, they failed quality checks and they were taken out. They weren't sold because they were like scrapped gloves.
Yeah.
And the gloves weren't good enough to sell, so they took them out.
Mhm.
But then apparently they were just somehow recycled back into the
Put
supply
in-
chain.
Yeah.
And so they were, this was found and they were caught. And so this did make the news. And so this is where we're not making things up. There are some people that are trying to find ways around the rising costs. And this could be selling a product that before would not have passed quality checks.
Right. Right. Which is just a bummer, but something to be aware of.
Yes.
So essentially you could be buying what looks like a normal box of glove and have, no idea what's actually in them. But to be fair, this is not necessarily new to like economic or global instability. This is kind of like the glove industry has struggled with this and has, very few safety and quality checks and balances that are kind of built into it. So there's a lot of built-in trust, and we've talked about this a lot. And that's why, we have Delta Zero. That's something that we feel strongly about.
As my crypto bros would say, they just say, trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro.
So we don't believe in trust me, bro.
Yes,
That's not really our philosophy. But we do think that more testing and validation is really important in the glove industry. And that is not singularly important in a time of uncertainty.
Yeah.
So,
it just gives you another reassurance in times of uncertainty, but it's something that we do feel like should be happening all the time.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because let's say in food processing, most of our customers are food processors. And so food safety, worker safety, that kind of thing are very important. And that's directly where gloves are involved, and they can impact the safety from our customers on that standpoint. So a glove can look good on the outside, but then if it's made with cheaper ingredients, if they put cheap fillers in there, the glove may not stretch as well. If they put different chemicals in there to change the recipe of the gloves, some of those could be toxic to the wearer, or they could touch your product and get it on there. And so there's just a few things, since like I feel like I say it every week, but there's no ingredient label on the side of the box. So if they change, if I go to the store and I see they change the type of sugar, I know I'm eating a different type of sugar. But when it's on a glove, I don't know I'm wearing a different glove with a different chemical and that kind of thing. So that's the trust me, bro, we were talking about, that's built in there. But when it comes to food processing, especially when the workers are wearing the gloves and it's touching the food that all of us are going to be eating, it just matters a little bit more. So supply chain integrity is really important right now. And I feel like we're preaching to the choir a little bit, and I'm not going to say that we're perfect at it. But with our Delta Zero, I feel like we are trying to be transparent and trying to show our gloves. So it is kind of like trying to do the extra step, but it is a challenging time right now, and it's going to be a challenging time for a little bit. So this is something we're all going to go through together. We get the frustrating emails as well and things like that, that we're dealing with and trying to work with our customers the best we can. So it is something that we're all going through, but there are ways where we can do it better.
Yeah. So I guess that's a great segue, because I think it's important to say, I guess, what businesses should, like, actionable things that they should be doing. Like, what are the practical next steps for people?
Sure. Like, what do we do right now? Okay. So everything is kind of, we hear about it coming, it's starting to start, but we're not really like taking off on this yet. So like, what do we do right now? I would say, probably go back and review your stock levels, see how many gloves you actually have. I know some people have a lot more storage space in the back than others. So it may be like, oh, hey, I still have 10 pallets, or somebody could be down to the last 3 boxes that they have. So really understanding the stock levels that you're working with, I think would be really a great place to start. And if you're running lean, good for you. But now might be the time to look at this and think about how to address that. Secondly, I'd work close with your supplier, and hopefully you have a really good partner that will work with you. Have those conversations now about availability, about lead time, what their stock is looking like. Let them know when you're going to be out of stock. Do it now before you're out of stock. Do not be calling and asking all these questions when you need gloves now. I think it's good to have that conversation, because our supply is being affected as well. If the factories aren't making as many gloves, we're not bringing in as many gloves. And so that's where is just working with your partner to make sure that your supply partner to make sure with forecasting, it's like, these are the gloves I'm going to need. This is when I'm going to need them. And just, I think communication is huge right now and can't be overstated how important that is.
Huge.
And third, I would work with your company, work with your fiscal director, whatever they're called, because there are going to be some challenges. There are going to be some allocation constraints, that kind of a thing. And just prepare for that and building that into your forecasting, how and where you deal with it, because I know you can't just spend more out of your budget without taking it out of somewhere. So I think just having the preemptive conversations, knowing this is going to come, I think could be really beneficial to protect a company with what's going to be coming in the next few months.
And then on the quality side, so I think those are all really good points. And then we talked about the risks mentioned. So what can companies do, I guess, to kind of protect themselves? We did talk about it a bit.
Sure. That's kind of the cost of inventory. That's more the business side of it, I suppose. When it comes to quality assurance and things like that, I would say working with your supplier and knowing their standards. And this is something I hope you've already done, hope you're already kind of doing, knowing where your gloves are coming from, not just saying, I need the blue formula, check, and it's on the shelf. I hope you're asking a few questions, getting the documentation. So this probably isn't something completely new to you, I hope anyway, but having robust sourcing standards, knowing where they're coming from. Of course, I'm going to be biased because we do third-party testing, but asking if your supplier does third-party testing, are they getting gloves that are third-party tested? When they're FDA compliant, all they have is a chemical migration test that's done on them once. And so there's a lot more going into gloves and the safety of gloves above and beyond a chemical migration test. So if that's all that they're doing, it could be something where like, oh, maybe I should look for somebody that can provide more detailed information, something like that, that can help me know what I'm getting. Are the factories audited? And just knowing you're working with good factories, good suppliers, questions like that. So there are things where you can get certificates, you can get compliance documents, you can get audit, just a few things you can do to show that they're going above and beyond the minimum.
And I mean, that is, you mentioned it, but it's exactly why Delta Zero exists.
And I don't feel like it's a shameless plug. I feel like right now it's the plug we need. Like it is something where it does protect from that risk, that the unknown risk of, I didn't know. And it's like, no, but you do. Now you would.
And that's not to say that we don't trust our manufacturers and things like that too. It's just simply a check that we believe should be standard across the board.
Yes. Because we know how they're made. We know where they're made. We know everything like that. But then our customers, we don't want them to take the trust me, bro. It's like, trust me because here's the third party testing.
Exactly.
And I will say our testing doesn't go the whole line. Right now it goes up to the 5 mil. We started with the ones that use for ready to eat food, since that's a higher risk area. And then as we grow, we're going to be expanding it throughout the line. But our other gloves are made at the same factory, same standards. So when we do start testing them, I have no doubt that they're going to pass. But it is something we're expanding as we grow. And we do hope that we find other partners, which we have, and we're continuing to grow, that also value this.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess looking ahead, is there the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel a bit, or are we kind of just hunkering down at the moment?
I feel like that's such a heavy question. How long is the tunnel before the light? Honestly, the light at the end of the tunnel, people we've talked to, factories, don't see it coming immediately.
Which is okay.
It's okay. We're gonna get through it. It's not hard. It's just, there's just a little frustration where I feel like things just keep happening. It's kind of, when you get over one, then the next thing happens, and then the next thing, and then it's just, and so it's not horrible. I guess you can probably sense the frustration from us that things just seem to keep happening where we can't get, like you said, back to normal, if you will. There's always things that kind of like, when we're coming around the corner, then something else happens that makes it a bit of a challenge. And then something else happens that makes it a bit of a challenge. I'm just waiting for like normal. But even if things would stabilize in the Middle East, which I know they're negotiating. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea when things would stabilize and be over. I have no idea what that means.
And even if it ended like today, and it was like, oh, yay, happy rainbows, this isn't going to resolve itself next week.
No, it would take a while for the market to kind of come back stabilize itself, because then there's like the downstream effect where the raw materials have to get, well, enough have to be produced. And then that pressure would release. And then, okay, when this, let's say the strait is opened and then that releases, and then, okay, maybe oil prices go back to normal and then that releases. And then, so this is going to be something that's going to take us months. I think
it'll take a second.
The biggest thing that is going to start is when everything in the Middle East is settled. That's going to be the biggest trigger of when we can start the recovery. But until that happens, it's, even if it would happen today, I do foresee this taking months to recover, 3 to 6 months. But the longer that, can we call it a war? But longer that the Middle East is happening, that's just going to delay that. So that's kind of the unknown, where we're just going to have to get through this together. We've gotten through all the other stuff together. So just work with your suppliers and our customers. We want to work with them, make it as easy as possible, as smooth as possible. It's probably not going to be easy. Maybe smooth is the better word.
Yeah. And just remembering we're all in it together. So I mean, that's the cheesiest thing to say ever, but it's true.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork. We can do it. So, but okay. So if anyone has any questions for us, this is the same as usual. You can email us. You can reach out to us on social media, on our website. Just any way you want to ask us questions, please feel free to reach out.
Ask Ashley the hard questions on social media, please.
Please never do that. I mean, actually always do that. We want you to reach out, but maybe easy ones for me. But we do have some questions that we've gotten just in general. And so we picked some that would be good maybe to share. So the first one that we have is, we touched on this just a tidbit, but should I be stockpiling gloves right now?
Ooh, stockpiling. Yeah. Well, of course, it's going to be budget allows, space allows. There's factors that go into it. But that aside, I would say I don't know if it's as much about like stockpiling. It sounds like hoarding, like there's got to hoard all the cats.
I mean,
so I don't know if it's as much about stockpiling right now as maybe more like we had kind of talked like smart planning.
Yeah.
So if you're working with your suppliers and they know what you need, because we think about it, when a container comes over from, ours come from Malaysia and Thailand. So when a container comes over, it's taking about estimating 3.5, 4 months. So it's when those gloves come over, we're going to have more gloves, but we're not going to have them for 3 months. So working with the supplier of what you need now, what you're going to need in the future.
Yeah.
So then as their inventory comes, they can plan for that. So I don't know if it's as much, yes, it's probably worth making sure you have gloves right now. Yes. But I don't know if you need to stockpile it as much as just plan and make sure that you're secure for the future.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that's just important to remember. Like, we'll get through it together. And then how do I know if my current supplier is cutting corners?
That one is really hard. It's so hard. And then when you ask them for testing, it's very easy to say like, oh yeah, we test that. Oh yeah, we test that. Yeah. They should have some kind of documentation from it. They should have some kind of results from it. Asking if they do third-party testing, asking if they do their own testing, what tests they do, what tests are the gloves. What are they testing for? I guess is a good thing. Do they audit their facilities? Do they have any kind of traceability? Do they have any kind of, those are just the questions where I don't think that's going above and beyond just to understand the product that you're buying and how it gets to your door.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really easy for people to just be like, oh yeah, we do that. Or something like that. So maybe asking a few deeper questions is probably right now a really good step of just like, what do you mean by that? Or what are you testing for? Kind of if you're just getting a little bit deeper, I think you'll know pretty quickly if there's any depth there.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the gist of our questions. But of course, if you have questions, if you're in need of supply, I mean, we will do our best to help.
Yeah. We're in the same situation where we're starting to get where we're thinking about our crunch, about our inventory and how we're allocating and our customers and things like that. We're getting into the prepping and planning phases too, where we'll be reaching out to all of our customers and making sure that we know what they need and trying to be a good partner there. But yeah, it's happening to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll be good. It'll be crunch time for us. Our jobs will be just that much more exciting.
We'll be better because of it.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll learn so much along the way.
Doesn't pressure make diamonds or something like that?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Woohoo. But thank you everyone for joining. We really appreciate you guys sitting in on these conversations and just even being aware of the Glove Lab because we do think it's an important topic. We will be back next month, like always. And then if there's a glove topic that you want us to cover, please let us know. We're always here to take suggestions. Hit subscribe, smash subscribe, please.
Smash that like button.
Yes. And stay safe as always. And if you want to talk gloves, you know where to find us.
All right. See you guys.